What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another transfer update video. Been quiet the last couple of days. It is the 6 weeks holidays in the UK, so you know the kids are running me ragged, playing football every day and so on and so forth. But let's get back to transfer update business, people. Have you all recovered from the latest episodes of All or Nothing? Because I cannot lie, people. They were absolutely painful to watch. PTSD came back quick for all Arsenal fans having to watch those last two episodes. I didn't really enjoy the last two episodes. I can't lie, people. Reliving those defeats, it just seemed like the team had no bounce back ability after, losing to Tottenham and then losing to Newcastle. Just threw away such a massive opportunity. And listen, I thought the documentary was good. It gave us some insight. I think there were some things missing that I think a lot of fans would have liked to have known. They never asked Edu, why did you not sign anyone in January? That a lot of the players seem to be saying that fifth was kind of success, which I felt was a little bit wrong. I think when you're in that such a good, strong position to get fourth, fifth has to be looked upon as failure. Even though I understand that players and managers, you have to look at positives out of a situation. And in terms of that, yeah, I'm kind of glad the All or Nothing's finished. I think it was good to watch and a good bit of insight. But also, you don't want to keep going over things that happened last year that were negative when there's such a positive feeling around the club right now. It was interesting that Martin Odegaard, who's captain, you haven't really heard from him the whole documentary. Pepe, we didn't hear anything. Gabriel, not really. Leno, there was a few players we didn't hear a lot about. Friends in the group chat, we've been calling it Arteta or nothing. It hasn't really been. We didn't find out a great deal about the whole club in general, but I understand the way these things go. And overall, listen, the club got big money, over £12 million for it, lots of views, and we move on, people. So yeah, the PTSD can relax because I don't want to see any more of them episodes where it was all going wrong. Let's look ahead to the future. Who are Arsenal gonna sign, people? We're being linked with a couple of names today. The first one, we spoke about him a few days ago, Pedro Neto from Wolves. Now, it's a winger that I actually rate quite highly. I think he's a very talented player, skillful, two-footed, Premier League experience. Doesn't necessarily score huge amounts of goals, what you need from wingers, but Jota seemed to go to the next level when he left Wolves. Could Pedro Neto do the same now? There was a story going around that Pedro Neto has been offered to a number of clubs in the Premier League, including Arsenal and Manchester United. Now, they've just signed Gonzalo Guedes from Valencia for around 35 million, and they've signed Matheus Nunes for over 45 million, and it's believed Wolves could be looking to cash in on Pedro Neto. Now, for me, I've said this many times, I would take Neto at Arsenal. I think we're going to need a winger, and I think he does have qualities that maybe we could add to this squad. They want £40 million for him. As I've said before, on the back of a quite a bad knee injury, I would have liked to have seen that price reduced a little bit, but Wolves are not going to accept a low fee for a very highly rated player. He said before in an interview that his boyhood club was Arsenal. He loves Thierry Henry and that he would love to play for Arsenal at some stage. So Pedro Neto apparently has been offered to Arsenal and Manchester United. We know United are looking for a winger as well. Would you pay £40 million to bring Pedro Neto to Arsenal? I have to admit, I would take a chance on him. I'm going to be totally honest. I think he's very skillful. He's damaged Arsenal at times in the past, and I know he has had a knee injury. I think we have to realise what £40 million is now. Nottingham Forest are about to spend £40 million on Gibbs White from Wolves, who was on loan at Sheffield United in the Championship. £40 million now, you don't get a great deal for that. So, me personally, I like Pedro Neto. I do think there's other options. But if you offered me the chance to sign him now, I would take that option. So let me know in the comments what you think. Would you take Pedro Neto at Arsenal? And the reason, people, that Arsenal may need a winger is because one of our own wingers looks to be on his way out of the football club, and that is Nicolas Pepe. Now, this guy is such a complicated situation. We were so excited when we signed him. He's our record transfer in our history. you know, you look at points in that documentary, and I don't know if he just lost all faith in the manager. His body language, he doesn't often even come off the bench now. He only started 5 games for Arsenal in the Premier League last season. That is unbelievable. These first 2 Premier League games, he hasn't even come off the bench. His future clearly is elsewhere. Now, his agent was seen at Nice at the weekend over there in France. Nice want to sign Nicolas Pepe on loan with an option to buy him at the end of the season. Now, Nice are owned by the owner, English owner, who is interested in buying Manchester United at the moment. He's worth 21 billion. He's very rich. They've signed Kasper Schmeichel. They've signed former Arsenal player Aaron Ramsey. They've just made an offer for Ben Burton Diaz from Blackburn. And they want to sign Nicolas Pepe on loan with an option to buy. I think it's going to be best for all parties that Nicolas Pepe moves on. Him and this manager just do not get on. And I think it's time for him to go and experience something else. On loan with an option to buy is not fantastic because they could turn around in a year. He doesn't do well. They send him back to Arsenal and we're back to square one. In fact, it's even worse because he only has a year left on his deal. On the flip side, if he goes there, does really well, maybe you can get an inflated amount of money for him. But it looks as if Pepe is on his way to Nice in France on loan. I have to say, I thought maybe one of the even bigger clubs in France would have taken Pepe, especially on loan. He was being linked with PSG as maybe a replacement for Di Maria, as a backup to the likes of Messi, Mbappe and Neymar. But it looks as if he's on his way to Nice, nice part of France, south of France. And this deal looks as if it's going to happen. Real shame. There was a lot of hope and expectation for Pepe, but just hasn't worked out for him. And I think it's a real shame. But it looks as if he could be on his way out of Arsenal, people. Another player that Arsenal have been linked with, a little bit of a surprise this, and this is Brazilian winger Joao Pedro. He plays in the Championship now for Watford. He was with them last season in the Premier League. Fairly good player. He's also being linked with a move to Newcastle. Watford believed to be willing to sell him for around 20 to 25 million pound. Skillful, got goals in the locker, can play centrally, can play out wide. Obviously, Watford train next door to Arsenal, so he wouldn't need to move house or anything like this. Is he good enough to play for Arsenal? I haven't seen too much of him. I know he's very highly rated at Watford. And, you know, I've done the usual, caught up on some of his YouTube highlights. Let me know in the comments. Would you take a chance on someone like Joao Pedro from Watford? We know that if we do sign a right winger, ultimately they're probably going to be a backup player to Bukayo Saka. So are you going to be able to get a real top winger if he doesn't believe he's going to get first team football on a regular basis? So let me know what you think about Joao Pedro from Watford, people. Another player that we were linked with yesterday, this one is not from a great source, to be honest, and that is Callum Hudson-Odoi of Chelsea. Now, it's believed Hudson-Odoi wants to leave Chelsea, possibly on loan, but maybe even on a permanent. He earns £150,000 a week, incredible contract, but he's simply not getting enough game time. He's currently in conversations about changing his nationality from English to Ghana and representing Ghana at the 2022 World Cup. He wants to play first team football, and according to the Chelsea podcast via Court Offside, Arsenal are one of 3 clubs that want to sign Callum Hudson-Odoi. The other 2 are Southampton and Newcastle. One reason for me I don't see this deal happening, number one, I think he's going to want first team football. He's going to want guarantees. He's sitting on the bench for Chelsea. If he comes to Arsenal, does he play right wing ahead of Saka? I don't think he does. He is a good player. I do like him. And I don't think Chelsea would do Arsenal any favours. We are kind of competing for those top 4 spots. I don't think Chelsea would allow a highly rated young player to come to Arsenal. They tend to let players leave who they don't want at the club, and they do want Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he probably goes out on loan. Would you take Callum Hudson-Odoi at Arsenal? Certainly better than Nelson, in my opinion, in terms of young players. But I don't think this one is very likely, if I'm being completely honest, people. So we'll have to see the latest on that one. Let's talk players potentially leaving. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the subject of a possible move to West Ham. Arsenal want a permanent deal. He only has a year left on his contract. West Ham just want to take him on loan, and he would be a free agent next summer. The deal makes no sense for Arsenal. I'm sorry, Ainsley has come through the system. He's got England caps. He's versatile. He'll be a solid Premier League player elsewhere. We should be getting a steady transfer fee for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, maybe a sell-on clause in the future. There is no way he should be going to West Ham on loan for them to just pick him up on a free next summer. You know, a player that we've developed for our own system. So for me, I would be rejecting that. But it looks like we're running out of time and options. Can Arsenal get a decent fee for Ainsley Maitland-Niles? And another interesting one that I wanted to finish off, Aubameyang is in talks about a move to Chelsea today. Believe that Chelsea willing to pay about £20 million for him. Barcelona want 27. Again, you have to look at Arsenal let him go last season, and we didn't get any transfer fee whatsoever for him. I realise his wages were a little bit higher than they are at Barcelona, but the fact Barcelona are willing to potentially let a player go for 20 plus million that 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we gave them for absolutely nothing is something that I think we really have to look at when it comes to selling players. Aubameyang, we paid him to leave. Guendouzi, we got £9 million for him. You know, Lacazette's gone for nothing. Socrates for nothing. You know, a number of players where we should have at least got something and didn't get any money for them. I think moving forward, this is something we really have to develop as a football club, learning how to sell players as well as buy players. So, listen, All or Nothing has finished. As I said, for me, the last couple episodes were very stressful. Didn't really want to relive those difficult defeats. And but listen, it did give us some insight. I think they could have dug a little bit deeper with the questions, interviewed players a little bit more, but it is what it is. I understand how these things work. Apologies, I've been quiet this week. I will be back on Friday with a live stream, press conference, reaction, all of that. We'll be doing a watch along for the game. On Saturday, we play Bournemouth at 5:30 away from home, so looking forward to that. Hopefully a third win out of 3. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments down below about anything that we have spoken about today, and I will see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.